You're listening to Who's Hot, the UK OCR podcast where Wil Chung, along with elite racers Becky, Neal, Chris Shipley and the occasional special guest, discuss the UK OCR series and other important races in the OCR calendar to find out who's hot.
Hello and thank you for downloading the latest UK OCR Who's Hot podcast. My name is Wil Chung. I'm the presenter and I'm here as always with my two elite runners. I've got Chris Shipley. Hi Chris, how are you doing?
Hello everybody, how's it going?
Yeah, good. And Becky, Neal, how are you, Becky?
Hi Wil, nice to see you again.
As always, we're here. We are here to talk about the Spartan sprints down at Southwest this weekend, the sixth race in the UK OCR series, but also the final race of the UK National Series. Now, before we talk about the series and everything in general, I just want to give a shout out to the top three of the UK National Series for Spartan. So first place, Andrea Berquez. Second place, Federica De Carrier. Third place, Libby Joyce. And in the men's, we've got first place, Roman Toth. Second place, Jason Brunnick. And third place, Fergal Keeney. Well done to all of you. And here to talk about the Spartan series and, of course, the UK OCR League, we got Megan Tranter. Megs, welcome. How are you doing?
Hi, Wil. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yes, very well, thank you. I mean, we've been kind of ships passing in the night for most of the races, but we spent some time in Alula. How was that for you?
We had a safari, didn't we? That was very exciting.
That was awesome. We saw all of the major animals out there or something. We got very lucky, didn't we?
We did get very lucky. It was epic. But Wil, I'm going to have to say something. You just missed Rachel Decker off that when you said the results.
No, that was the series overall.
National Series.
Yeah.
Get with it, Megan. Get with it.
Not the sprint.
That's what Libby was said.
I was like, no.
It's all right, we're going to keep this one in as well, Meg. So.
I was just not an expert, Megan. That's how we had to.
So, it's been a long week. It's been a long week.
Was that only because she's one of your teammates and we wanted to make sure we got Rachel Decker in, right?
Yes, I was just thinking of that finish, it was mental. It was so crazy.
Whoa. Let's come back to that in a little bit. So let's just rein it back, Megs, rein it back. So you come on, you are a bit of a Spartan honk, more of a Spartan honk than the rest of us. You've been running UK OCR series, you've been running the Spartan National Series. How was the sprint for you? And kind of the lay of the land, because we knew after talking to Spartan and the guys in the preview, this was going to be a fast race. So just have a quick run through the course and then let's talk about your race in particular.
Yeah, the course was fast. And obviously we had badminton in the series last year. For the age group series last year, it was a beast and that was a super fast beast. But obviously we also had the European 3K series, which turned out to be a sprint at Badminton 2 last year, and that was super quick. So I think everyone who raced there last year totally knew what was coming, and yeah, it was the same, but it felt kind of faster. I don't know why. Maybe it was the obstacles, and I think it was more of a downhill start, and it just felt rapid from the get-go. It was so quick.
Yeah, I mean, I ran Tough Mudder the day before. I ran Spartan after you guys run Spartan, and because I said in the preview, didn't I? Oh, it's got to be over and through, not even over and through, and actually quite a long sprint before you actually got to the first one, which were hurdles in Spartan land. Then Bob wire crawl, which is probably another 400-500 meters. So actually, the first, I think Julie Botwood said the first mile or so was probably just the two obstacles and actually then started to stack them at the end. How did that kind of spread people out for you? Do you think that was a good thing, or would you prefer obstacle kind of then a equal amount of distance than another obstacle?
I actually quite enjoyed it. And you're right, I know it was just before a mile before you got to the barbed wire crawl, because Cheryl got really mad because she was on track for a 1 mile PB, and then the barbed wire crawl came 0.3 away from it, and she was like, oh, for God's sake. So I know that was almost a mile, so close to being a mile. But yeah, it was. I quite liked the fact that it just sort of the field split immediately. And yeah, I quite enjoyed it. It was good.
Yeah, I think it's nice to kind of spread out a bit as well. I can't imagine what it's like there aren't that many women on the kind of pro start line, but in the age group women there was a huge start pen, and I think having that space was probably quite valuable in terms of, because that hurdle really stopped you in tracks. I feel like there's less flow on the hurdle than there is over under through, because you literally have to, I don't know, it seems bigger, right?
Yeah, it does seem bigger, and it feels like there's less space to get over it. I don't know why. Like, it feels like there really can't be many people clambering over it at once. Whereas, like, on the over-under throughs, I think people are more aggressive. But yeah, you're right, not with the hurdle. Maybe that's because we don't see it as often. It hasn't really featured in courses a lot, has it?
Yeah, maybe the beast at the first one.
Yeah, and it was definitely at one of them last year. But
yes. Yeah, I think that was definitely the first thing that Cheryl said to me as well. She was quite pleased with her speed that she started off with, and it was mega fast. We can come back to the women's race, but yeah, super fast. And although I think Cheryl should go for a mile PB on the road if she's running the fastest thing with a hurdle in the way.
Yeah, she did 2 hurdles with that as well.
Let's do that on the weekend, maybe, or on a track session or something. You can get yourself a nice shiny PB.
So it was then quite a long run, if I remember this right, through a bit of a trail run, down a bit of a hill, and then to the Z wall. Z wall is quite. Although I don't. Again, I did the open wave, so I was just messing around, and I'm sure you guys didn't realise, but that was a very long penalty if you fell off the Z wall. Now and again, I don't think many people should be, but it was. I would suggest 500 meters, almost as long as what the bucket carry would have. That it was a long penalty loop if you'd fallen off there. And then another long run, and then up to multi-rig, I think. Was that right?
I think we had the sandbag right before the Z wall.
And the hay bales and the drink station.
I did hear the carry. I did hear the carry was quite a long carry, wasn't it?
The bucket.
Yes, this was an earlier carry, so there were several carries. So the first one was the sandbag carry, which I thought was manageable. There was a little bit of like a little undulation in it, but it was still quite close to the start. But we had already run through that bit in the trees, and I thought that slowed me down quite a lot.
No, and if you remember last year, Becky, that was where the spider web was for so many. At least that was.
I told some people that as well on the open wave. Yeah.
Multi-rig was I mean, and again, I think I saw Julie but would say most of the obstacles were actually quite easy. I don't think that any of the rigs really were all that technical at all. So I think Spartan was just thinking speed.
Sprint. Yeah,
definitely. Multi-rig was from the ground, which was quite strange for Spartan, and a lot of the women actually had a problem with that because they were quite high. I mean, I'm 5'6", and I had to go on my tippy toes to reach the first ring.
Yeah, I had to jump to catch that, and some people were just using the truss to get the first attachment. So yes, get your swing on, because it was on the ring. You could miss the rope, ring, traverse bar, ring bell. You look confused, Chris.
I'm always confused. This is just my standard face. I am confused. Confusability corners are here tonight. Yeah, that's what happens when you miss the race. You just don't have a clue. So I'm just here being Will, basically, just without asking the questions.
I don't always have that confused look, though, do I?
Yeah, of course you do. So come on, I want to know what's next. So multi-rig, low multi-rig.
And then it was a bit of a run over to wall.
The one that incline, you have to go.
Then the inverted wall. Yeah.
No, it's not called Bender. Bender's a different one. It's the one, the incline one.
No, we had Bender somewhere though, right? Did we?
We didn't do that. No. Would you like the map break?
Yeah,
okay. So it was 2 sets of the 10-foot walls. Then it was the inverted wall, and then onto balance beam, twinkle toes. That was kind of 3, almost one after the other. Then wasn't it?
The lovely backdrop of Badminton.
And whereabouts was this in the mileage? Was this sort of halfway then?
3.5.
Okay. Well, you must have been pooped by now, running that fast start and then hitting this bit.
Yeah, because that bit's also uphill, so it was uphill to the rig after the Z wall.
Was it sort of starting to cluster up a bit now? So because you had that sort of big start where everyone sort of went up really, really hard, was this the sort of point where everyone sort of could see people in the background and see where their sort of placings were?
You can see people the whole way around, I'd say.
Could you?
Oh, that bit, I knew that Fede was, like 50 meters in front of me, and then Karen was not too far behind me. And we could all see Andrea which is not that often. Rachel wasn't that far ahead of Fede. Like they were on the walls at the same time, and I was just coming like around the corner towards them. So you could definitely see a lot. It was quite close.
Then there was the vertical cargo net with the kind of Irish table. I found that really
cargo
difficult.
2.0.
Oh, so is this different then? Was that a different obstacle than what they usually use?
On a beast, right?
We've had it before. Where did we have it? It's literally just like a little table ahead of.
Oh, I'm with you.
The beast at the start.
And it has the women's height and it has the highest side for men.
Gotcha. Yeah, I thought it was talking about it being on top of the A-frame. I was like, they've done something new.
No.
You wish.
Yeah, I will.
Then
but at that point, you felt like I think no, there's one more in between there. I think at that point it feels like you're on your way back though, because you're at like the furthest point and you'll kind of see the village again. So you're literally throwing yourself over the top of that vertical cargo net, and then around the corner from that is the vertical slip wall thingy. What's it called? No?
Spartan slip wall. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was really wet. Like they had the water spraying all over them. You were in the puddle to start with, so it was pretty slippy. And like some people run down the back of that, and I think that is hairy. And it was way too wet to do that. I don't know whether anyone did, but
loads of people do that in like the Spartan video footage, don't they? And I'm like,
does that. I don't think did on this one because it was super slippy. But then that was basically straight into the bucket.
510 meters of bucket carrying.
Oh,
long.
Drama segment, Chris.
I've seen it.
I didn't think it was that long until I was on it, because the first bit was literally just straight. And I was running with my bucket, right? I was like, I'm going to run this whole carry today. And then when I saw like where the end was, I was like, no, I'm absolutely not. I need to chill out, otherwise I'm going to die. So then I changed into a little walk run, switching it up. But at this, I was being chased and I knew it. So I was like, oh God, got to keep going.
Yeah.
To me, this sounds like the best part of the race, because
it was stressful.
When you're running that sort of high intensity, and then you're with a pack of people that you can see sort of not too far behind and not too far ahead, it really sort of puts you in that mental state of like, oh, I can't quit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because it was literally an out and back, like a straight line, turn around the corner and come back. So you would pass each other as well. But I feel like when you're carrying a bucket, it's really hard to see ahead. Like you could start that and be basically looking down because the bucket is on the back of your neck kind of thing. And then you could like be lulled into a false sense of security about how long it is until like Meg says, you're like, oh no. And then you get overtaken by Karen Corey.
She's a great carrier.
Yeah.
Disappointed face there, Becky.
There was over a minute and a half slower than Andrea, and a minute slower than Karen, who I finished at the same time was, and a minute slower than Fede, and a minute slower than Rachel for 500 meters.
We'll have to look at you.
20 seconds slower than me.
And 20 seconds slower than Megan. My calves were gonna.
Oh my God.
I thought my legs were gonna just snap off.
I think we're gonna have to take another look at your card.
My calves. Oh, my card.
Card of accountability. Yeah, see what your strengths are. And yours, Megan. We have to just double check that.
Mine needs swapping anywhere because Leon has a higher endurance score than me, and it pisses me off all the time.
He paid for that, to be fair. Yeah, he
brought. No, we could pay for points. Hold on.
You have to pay me. Don't tell the others.
But I think this is where
it made a big difference to the race.
Yeah, this is where Jim and the Spartan team really kind of, I think this is where this evilness came in, because this was the start of this gauntlet, big sprint in the middle. But this started off please help me out, Megs. It was the bucket, Atlas carry straight after that.
Little wall. 4 foot wall.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. 4 foot wall, Atlas carry, rope climb.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So not only are you tired from the bucket carry, you've got this to go at you, and then straight after those.
Oh, and Turquoise.
Yes, that was it. So
Turquoise was in there too.
Before the rope climb, which I think is evil. Like
absolutely. So intense from then. It just I was just saying again, I was just taking it easy in the open, and I was already blowing. Then the 500-meter run to the A-frame spear throw, and so that last kilometer and a half was absolutely intense.
So intense, and it was the giant A-frame as well, and I loved it.
No, it was the mini A-frame. It wasn't.
No, it wasn't. Like the one that they
Last
replaced
year
at
it was-
Midlands was the tiny one, remember? Because
But
the
race
big
last
one
year
got
had Matterhorn.
decommissioned. We had to use the kids one, so I was
Yeah.
happy we weren't using that again.
I was
Well-
expecting Matterhorn though until we saw the map come out for Tough Mudder because Matterhorn was there last year.
I
So-
was
so
thinking
was the laser.
it had to be
Bad
with the
times.
horn.
Yeah, he really did us with the. He has got a poker face, hasn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
I literally thought that you got everything out of him, but
I
clearly
know.
not. I was like, Becky's smashing you on this. He was just like, oh,
And he
yes,
was like, you know
that's
what?
definitely what we're
I'm gonna-
getting.
He thought she was too many questions. I'm going to give her a 500-meter bucket carry.
I reckon he just changed it. He was like,
Painful.
well, panic stations. He's like, they've guessed every obstacle. Let's change it.
Oh, damn it.
So yeah, intense, and an intense finish on both men's and women's races. What I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about the men's race, and I'll give the top 10 here. We'll talk a bit about the men's race, but I think actually most of the action was within the women's races. So first place, Roman Toth. Second place, Daniel Titcombe. Third place, Fergal Keeney. Fourth place, Morgan Maxwell. Fifth place, Jason Brunnock. Apologies. This is the mix of the pro and age group waves, because this is how we are scoring it for the UK OCR series. So I'll start again. Roman Toth, Daniel Titcombe, Fergal Keeney, Morgan Maxwell with Jason Brunnock in top 5. Then Callum Diligent, Humed Almulia, Barry Buchanan, Reece Statham, Quilty, and Dassos Ganella. We'll talk about some of that because I've got the times here. Now,
read the times, Will. Read the times.
I was at that finish and my heart broke for Dan. And what did we say? Or I think, Chris, it was you. What did you say in the preview?
Did we say something like, I hope it doesn't come down to the spear throw?
And what happened?
Came down to the spear throw. I saw the videos you posted, Will. It was heartbreaking.
Heartbreaking. So Roman Toth 28.05, Daniel Titcombe 28.24. Then we had Fergal Keeney 28.47, followed very quickly by Morgan Maxwell 28.54, Jason Brunnock 28.57. And then we've got 6th and 7th place here, Humed Almulia 29.29 and Barry Buchanan at 29.37. In 8th place, we've then got Obed Al-Numa at 29.37, Reece 29.42. So we've got like kind of, what's that, 4 people within, just 10-15 seconds of each other. So just the races, as they were coming in, I was just astounded how close everyone was. Chris and Becky, I'm sure you've been speaking to your fellow racers. How did the men's find their race?
I heard that they just raced hard all the way. Mo was telling me that it was a real shame that when they got to the spear throw, that Dan missed his, Roman got through on his, and then I think Ferg and Mo were battling for that last position, and then both of them missing it. And then I think Mo said that Ferg just had the legs to push a little bit harder to make that extra time. But yeah, it's just a shame when it comes down to that last obstacle, when you've got such a battle going on, and it comes down to having to throw something to dictate who's going to possibly win. Bit of a shame, but it's so close every single minute, like the top 4 in a minute of each other within the same minute. It's crazy fast.
Yeah, I mean, the spear is part of the event. It's not a surprise. It is exciting, I guess, maybe to spectate. But it's impressive that there was like 10 men, or maybe 11 under 30 minutes, which is like such a fast race in general. Sometimes we can do other events with like lots more obstacles. Maybe you only cover 3K in that time. This is actually like 6K, right? So this is some serious speed. So every second did count. And yeah, I think despite like there being some big gaps in the obstacles towards the beginning and then some more intense bits, I thought it was pretty exciting in terms of a sprint race. It wasn't only a good sprint because it was accessible for people doing their first race, or accommodating more people, or making it more achievable because of the lack of hills and mud and stuff. I thought it actually still enabled a really exciting race with some position swapping, especially within view of people watching.
Yeah, it sits in the series quite well, doesn't it? Because within the series, you need a race that sort of complements every sort of aspect, and this one definitely sort of complemented that really, really fast, short race. And that's what you need in the series.
I think some of the guys that were sort of in the teens, like lying maybe 15th place or something, you would have watched them come over the line and thought, oh, they were really close to the podium, and then realize, they're only a minute and a half behind or something, but actually they're like 10 positions behind, which is crazy. That's like really exciting for the depth of the field, and all of those points, the 5 points between here and there, really does matter for the series. So I think everyone will have been battling it out, and that spear probably does either feel glorious or hurt a lot for everybody that raced.
Absolutely, and again, I'll just talk about a few more times because I'm just going down the scorecard here. So Das got 29.59, Jack Carpenter 30 minutes 3 seconds, and then a little bit further back behind 30.29 was James Burton, followed by Theo Kerr at 30.36. Connor Wickens 30.44, Alex Young 30.55. So the all, and this, I think this is why we want this sport to be, so everyone's getting closer together, and it's just so much more fast, so much more exciting to actually see actual competition and actual racing, rather than kind of first coming in a few minutes before, then second place is third place a few minutes after that, which used to happen. But I think now over the years, and because of, or possibly because of the series or other series that having to have some of that competitive edge to it, people are training, people are really going for this, and I think those gaps are really coming together now.
You know what it helps with? Making fourth feel less bitter.
No, it doesn't, Becky.
Oh, all right, okay. So we've obviously got Meg here and Becky, but Meg specifically, we want to talk about the women's race because, again, I was watching the women's race too. So I'm just going to move over to the female. Hold on, things up. So first place, Andrea Berquez. Second place, Federica De Carrier. Third place, joint second place, Rachel Decker, Karen McQuarrie in joint fourth place, along with Becky Neal, followed by Libby Joyce, Charlotte Duhenny, Tamar Barkley, Nicola Gillespie, Cheryl Beach, Abigail Blatchford. Let me go over to the time.
I want to ask
some
a
of those
question
are
on these
age
times.
That's because the national series and how we work this. So Federica De Carrier, Rachel Decker, 34 minutes dead. I watched that. Oh my God, that was close. Joint fourth place, Becky Neal and Karen McQuarrie, 35.27. And it just gets so close. So Libby Joyce, 36.31. Shyla, 36.42. And Tamar, 36.57. So again, it's just getting so close. But Becky, let's talk about your race.
Oh, well, there's lots of exciting races going on. But I think the start was actually mega fast. I know it always is at Spartan, but this seemed even faster. It just levels up every time. And instead of it being like a few people that you're like, wow, you're running really fast, it was everybody. I think in the first 100 meters, I was in like 8th place and I was going a good speed. And then we kind of went around the corners a little bit, and actually not everyone could maintain that pace. So we started to spread out a bit more. So I moved into third and went off with Fede. We were following Andrea. And then close behind was Rachel, and then Karen and Shai and Libby. But then Rachel soon kind of pulled away in front of me. So it was sort of, Andrea was running just ahead, but like quite a tangible distance, I'd say. So like Fede was feeling good, I think, about that. Rachel was feeling good about that. Even me and Karen were as well. Like it didn't seem unreasonable, and you could see it the whole way around. So you kind of thought, well, anybody could podium here because we all know what's at the end of the race. And so that kind of was like maintained. I managed to stay ahead of Karen on the first carry at least. And for everyone, by now is excellent at the obstacles, so there was no worries about that. That we did have another lady running with us, who I think maybe slipped off one of them, so that was kind of brought down like the number of people that you had to stay ahead of. But the seconds were being like won or lost on about how efficient you were at getting on and off the obstacles. I think even things like the balance beam, some people like pause before you get on it, or like just getting over that vertical cargo net and kind of getting off straight away and things like that. And sometimes I think the step to get on the vertical cargo net is quite tricky. Like you have to get the right technique, and especially if you haven't done it many times, it's kind of awkward to figure out. So you can lose a bit of some precious time there. And I hadn't realized how long the bucket was. And I knew I had to try out, and I knew I wasn't very good at it, and I knew I was being hunted down by Karen and then Shai as well. And I was probably like 40 meters behind Fede and probably a similar amount ahead of Karen, but then I just lost all of that. and I tried to catch it up because I thought, oh, you know, there's still the spear to go. And fortunately, I did land the spear, but only just like in the wood, but it stuck in nicely. So Karen hadn't realised while she'd just come off the penalty. She hadn't realised that I'd made it. And I sort of snuck up behind her on the way to the monkey bars. And then she realised just as we were about to get on it, and that's what launched into our sprint finish. And of course, Betty and Rachel had already had their sprint finish about a minute and a half maybe ahead of us. So what a treat for the spectators at the end, and Will had his camera ready, fortunately. But yeah, we had a pretty fast monkey bar set, although I felt like it was kind of awkward still with the up and down part. Like he couldn't do max monkey bar speed, I'd say. And it did flash through my mind in like the last third of that monkey bars that, oh, don't slip off. And I know when I saw some footage of the start of the lead of the women's race, Andrea had a really big celebration there. It's such a relief when you don't you know, mess anything up. So I definitely felt that on the monkey bars, even though it's quite a straightforward obstacle. At the time I was like, oh my god, don't mess it up. But we literally hit the bell at the same time, just like Rachel and Feddy did, just ahead of us. And then yeah, it was shoulder to shoulder, sprinting. I think I'm so used to like doing a nice pose over the fire. I was like, how do I do this when I'm like not doing it fast? So I still went a bit high in the air. And then we nearly collided into the top three ladies who were having their photo taken. So it was quite hard to like dodge that at the end. But yeah, they had an amazing race in front of us. And I think there was a little bit of position swapping just behind us as well with Libby and Tamar and Shy. I think Libby got the spear. So that's all that Spartan practice has paid off for her. So that's really, really cool to see. Yeah. But then I think also Nicola Gillespie, who was starting in the age group wave, was only like a couple of minutes behind and definitely kind of got in the mix and ahead of a few of the fast ladies in the pro wave. So like really every second did count. I think people were still pretty much on top of it in the race because there was all those things, all the position swapping and the spear at the end. So I think everyone was still pretty much switched on for the whole 6K. But it's cool for her to have like led the age group wave and still put that time down, despite like not running with us.
So Nicola got 37:49. So as you say, well in front of everyone there. So fast. And Becky, I was there for the finish, and I was thinking that's not much of a fire jump for Becky, because normally it's like a Charlie's Angels type pose as you're going over. And
the camera person wasn't even there.
I also saw second and third. I don't know whether you guys have seen the Spartan video, but they just go and bump into whoever was holding the camera at the time because they were just getting their head down. And I think Becky, unfortunately, you lost being on the outside lane. You probably had an extra couple of meters that you had to run to keep with Karen. So, but yeah, it's a great race. It's great for me to watch and other spectators. But Megs, before we talk about age group champs, just want to talk about I guess my only complaint was spectatability of it. That I wanted to see more. And I caught most of the starts of everybody, but because it was quite an out and back, and everyone's far too fast for me anyway, I could really only then go to the end. I couldn't go to that gauntlet of the Herc hoist, the rope climb, and hope to keep in front of everybody else to catch them at the finish. So as much as I think it was a great course for the runners and the racers, and actually just want to talk about that bucket carry again, I thought especially evil because as you was running to it, you didn't know how long it was. And because you was running along the tree line, you don't know how long it was until maybe towards the back end of it before you started to come back. So I thought that was actually particularly evil because normally you can see kind of the whole route, a bit like the sandbag carry. You can kind of see that you where you have to go. So unfortunately, I think for spectators, you kind of get to see the start and you get to see from the A-frame probably. And if you're fast enough, you can see the A-frame, spear throw, and multi-rig. So there's got to be something that they can do there. Not the most spectator-friendly course, but fast, furious, and I know most of the racers actually enjoyed it. Meg, anyway, let's talk about age group a little bit because congratulations, you podiumed in your age group altogether for the national series.
I did, thank you. And I did on the sprint as well, which was my first ever podium on a sprint, I think. I don't like a short course, so I was well excited about that.
Nice one.
Amazing, congratulations. Talk a little bit about, I guess, the training involved, whether, you've been concentrating on national series. Have you been concentrating on UK OCR series? Have you been trying to entwine the two together, or are you just kind of taking each race as it comes, because you do seem to be everywhere right now, which is great?
Yeah, I think I'm probably a bit too much to everywhere. So I think the UK OCR series has probably taken a backbench this year, and I focused more on the Spartan series, but it didn't start very well for me. I think I started with the 4th position because I couldn't really run the beast, which is a shame because that's my strongest distance, and I really enjoy the Henley course. And then obviously the second race was the day after the UK OCR series race and British champs, one of the same. So everyone was kind of racing that on tired legs already. And then obviously this one was the sprint, and yeah, it was very exciting. It was so different to the other courses. It was cool. And I really liked actually how it finished on monkey bars, because normally it is a rig and you've got basically half the field doing a penalty if they finish it with the ropes, especially for age groups. So yeah, I really liked the fact that it was monkey bars, because it doesn't have to be technical to be exciting. That was the most exciting finish all year, and it was not a hard obstacle. It was crazy good.
Yeah, it always comes down to a good battle at the end of the day, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was good. But yeah, the age group race was cool, and there were a lot of women out for that. I think especially because it was a UK OCR series race as well, and it was a sprint, and more people are, I think, inclined to try a sprint or try competing at a sprint before they do anything else. Yeah, the field felt massive. That start pen was packed for the women. It was great.
Yeah, it was cool to see it all go off.
Yeah, and we just before we started, we caught the end of the women coming back in, which we didn't think was going to happen. So I watched up until you and Karen before I went and got into the start pen. So that was great to see.
Yeah, because I had enough time to go and watch you guys start. I watched the whole of the start coming underneath the A-frame, so that was nice.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it was cool, but yeah, it was fast.
So I've got some feedback. So after each race, I always go into the British Obstacle Facebook page and ask for people's reviews or their thoughts about the race. So I've got a few notes here. So Dawn Jolly's absolutely incredible day. Had a clean race and also nailed the spear throw 3 for 3 in the open wave too. Now, if I could only do that in every race, absolutely feel you there. Julie Botwood, I love seeing how many age group women there were. The field is growing. Obstacle placement was incredibly disappointing. 2 hurdles and a crawl in the first mile. Hay bales and sandbag carry in the second mile. It was a flat course, which is great for keeping it fast, but it feels like a step backward for Spartan with a terrible obstacle placement. Maybe we'll talk a bit more about that. Arguably, there wasn't one challenging obstacle. Ruth Batsy, I had an awesome day, battled hard at the sprint for a podium, had a great race with Emma McRae. We really pushed each other. So many inspirational athletes in this sport. Managed to win my age group in the sprint, securing first place in my age group in the series, which was one of my goals this year. Thanks to my coach, Jack Carpenter, and the support of my Nuclear Wild Forest team. They were all great results all round. Tamar, a Spartan sprint is never going to be the most exciting course obstacle-wise, but I think this course delivered something different to normal. We knew it was going to be fast with the main bulk of obstacles at the end. 2 sprint finishes in the ladies pro race resulting in joint second and joint fourth shows how exciting it turned out to be. Same with me and Shai, both missing our spear to see Libby nailing it and getting 6th. I love the community feel to this race and everyone celebrating the achievements of others, whether it was pro, age group or open. Tracy Morrow, I only moved up to the 50 to 54 this season. Wow. Totally underestimated speed and skill of these superb women. I podium in each race and knocked the huge chunks of time off my PBs for all 3 races. But as the amazing Daniel Blazer came first, second, she beat me to the title. I love that there were more women, especially older women, running competitively now, as I wouldn't have made half the gains in my fitness and strength had I not been chasing such accomplished athletes. And as you noticed, there's all females actually replying to my post, which takes me quite nicely onto the empowering wave, which I think was helped organised by Dawn Jollies.
Yeah, so I actually approached this idea with Spartan well over a year ago. And I went directly to the marketing team and they were like, yeah, we love the idea. Like, let's put this into practice. Nothing happened. I tried again earlier on this year and I'd made people aware that I was trying to make this happen as well. And it was the same story. Like, yeah, the team love it. We're fed back. It's great. And then just doesn't go anywhere. So then Dawn got involved and she was like, how is it going with the women's wave? And I was like, oh, like, I just feel like I get parred off every time. Like, they seem to like the idea, but no one sort of actions anything. So she went about it a different way through her ambassador route and got the job done, got it sorted out. And it happened. And it was, yeah, super exciting. And we had codes available for 50 women to come and try their first ever OCR, well, their first ever Spartan, for free, which is cool. It was put out quite last minute, though, realistically, but we did get 38 sign-ups. So that's still 38 new women to the sport is awesome. And obviously we got to go out with them and talk them through obstacles, and it was great. It was a great vibe. It was epic.
It was lovely. It was, I mean, I know how hard you've worked, and we all know that you've always been trying to make this happen in one way or another, and I'm glad it has happened, especially with help, from the community and from Dawn, and that's like obviously what everybody wants at the end of the day. I don't think it takes away from any other waves or anything like that. It's just a nice addition that actually changes lives and makes a difference. And there has actually been feedback since, right, directly to Dawn and directly to Spartan Race about people who had a great experience, and it's made a difference. They're gonna make a change, they're going to do it in the future, which is so like rewarding to hear. And it was fun to take part in, wasn't it? It was like nice to like share what we all love. We love it so much, we just talk about it in our free time and hope people listen to it like right now. And then we managed to talk at people and share our thoughts, and they were grateful to receive it and everything, and it also kind of, I think, taught us a few things about, because it's easy for me to assume what it's like to try an OCR, but I don't know anymore. I've been doing this for 7 years. It's different now to when I started as well, and we're all different people. So it was really kind of rewarding for us, I think, and useful to help us understand. And I think that's going to help, things that we do with British obstacle sports as well. So it's kind of give and take, and everyone had a great time. So if people have more questions about it, I'm sure me and Megan can help as well as Dawn.
Absolutely. And yeah, it was really cool, obviously, especially going around with everyone else, like with you and Dawn and whoever else was there, like Fede. There was a whole bunch of people. It was amazing. But we all do things in different ways. So I think we probably learned stuff from each other as well. Like when we were at the inverted wall, we both like realized that we do it slightly differently at different points.
Yeah.
Probably if we merge them together, we'd be super fast.
Yeah.
But, it was really cool.
Yeah, I know. I think Tamar was doing stuff with Fede at some point, and Emma, I was doing stuff with her, and she sent me a nice message afterwards saying like thank you, and everyone was just sharing his care, and we did our synchronized triple flips and everything. Yeah.
I saw so many stories, pictures on Instagram. It's been absolutely inspirational. So Megs, thanks for moving that forward, and also to Dawn. Got a little bit of feedback again about this. So Dawn Jolly, the women's empowerment wave was utterly fabulous. We had ambassadors, pro team, and age group women out on course supporting nearly 40 women doing their first ever Spartan race, some of which had already gone on to book their next race. It's what it's all about, isn't it? Huge thank you to Spartan for supporting the Ruth Battersea. I also enjoyed going back out in the ladies empowerment wave afterwards, where we hung around at the obstacles giving support. I even got some coaching myself from Tamar. I think this wave was a great idea because some people get put off by Spartan as an entry race as they see it too competitive.
Yeah, and like building that pyramid, having more people starting out, like we just heard about the women in the 50 to 54 category saying that they're getting PBs, like it all builds on top of things, and then we get, well, I mean, Megan, there is a bit of a barrier in terms of going from age group to pro in some of the ways that things are set up, but like we're gonna work on that, right, with people hopefully, but having that wider pyramid at the bottom, sort of, grassroots level and youth, will only help everyone. And that's the same for the men's wave too.
Yeah, definitely. But as we all know, the women's field is so much smaller in comparison. So it's so nice that everyone has been trying to help out growing it, because it's so important. Like, we don't want to turn up and race like 10 people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no one does.
really nice. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Equity.
For sure.
So well done, Megs. Thank you for that and getting that initiative off the ground, and also to Dawn Jollies for moving that forward, and of course to Spartan to get off their asses and start giving codes out. So hopefully, again, as you say, we'll do another one. Maybe but then we're going out to Tough Mudder quite in London. I want to move on to overall top tens. I've got provisional standings after the 6 races here. Obviously, I'm going to read them out, but you can visit britishobstacle.org to go look at the table. Women's overall, first place Federica De Carrier, second place Karen Macquarie, third place Charlotte Duhani, fourth place Becky Neal, fifth place Elizabeth Bimicum, followed by Tamar Barkley, Pip Rainbow, Louise Furman, Cheryl Beach, and Nicola Gillespie. In the male, we have first place Daniel Dickham, second place Russell Walsh, third place Morgan Maxwell, fourth place Finley Greenleaf, fifth place Jason Brunnick, followed by Dasa Scanella, Leo Brimacombe, Alex Young, Liam Mitchell, and Jason Molan. Over to the Masters male. First place, Dasa Scanella. Second place, Alex Young. Third place, Ramunas Wickes. Fourth place, Simon Briggs. And fifth place, Andrew White. And into the Masters female. First place, Tamar Barkley. Second place, Louise Ferriman. Third place, Emma McCree. Fourth place, Laura Haywood. And fifth place, Ruth Batters. So it's hotting up, Chris. What do you think?
I'm just looking at the points right now, just seeing where I am and seeing how many points I've got, because there's still a lot of races who've only done 2 races, especially in the men's field, and things could really change. How many races we've got left?
2, right?
2. We've got Body Hub Beast, which is the next one in the series, and then Tough Mudder Northwest.
So that's when a lot of people are going to get their 4 races then, and things are going to change, because we know that Body Hub is quite possibly going to be the most dense obstacle one of the year. So that's going to really change the field right up.
And with it being a training center as well, there's definitely people who have been maximizing, going there for training and time trials and stuff. Obviously the course will be different and using extra kind of routes and stuff. But I think that will be really cool to see the people who are well trained on that kind of course really show what they're good at. Anyway, we'll do that, save that for the preview.
I can't believe as well how close the points are in the top 10. Even with the female, everyone's like 199, well, hang on, 1,965 with Freddie, 1,835, 1,060. So it's all about just getting these points, scoring high to change like the point system, like just to get those extra points.
Yeah. And there's 9 teams with 10 races counting, and a lot of those ones are just upgrading their points each time as well, like maybe a second instead of a third or something. So that's really competitive.
And that's the thing, isn't it? It's now sometimes it's about holding your position and making sure you're pushing people down the points rather than kind of not bothering to go. You now got to go just to ensure that people aren't scoring additional points.
Or maybe having someone who's not in contention so much coming in and doing really well. Somebody who might be a really technical racer that hasn't been performing so well in terms of like the speed of the races, coming in and taking the win and taking all those max points away from the people who need it to adjust in the like podium edge kind of area.
Yeah, I'll tell you where there's a real battle going on. Phoenix and Rumble.
Yeah. 4,545 for Phoenix, 4,285 for Rumble, and there's us actually closer to third, 4,199 for Fit Body Farm freestylers.
I will say this:
so Fit Body Farm could
keep up, but I will say, Becky, most of your Team Phoenix people train at bloody Rumble.
Well, everyone goes to Rumble. Yeah, it's cool.
Burton's down there. You're down there all the time.
3 times a year.
Meg's
we don't have a training gyms.
Megs is there often, so basically. Everyone's Rumble.
Everyone's Rumble.
Well, what if we combined Nuclear Wildfires and Nuclear Phoenix? How do you feel then?
Don't confuse me.
You're scared. Even more scared.
But you were just saying, so fourth place is Nuclear Wild Forest at 3,906. Primal Fitness not far behind, 3,713 points. So actually, and we've talked about this before, but it's then about depth of field as well to really get some of those other races in and get the points in. And I think people are now racing into fitness. And so I'm sure there's going to be a few more that's more popping up because, and again, we'll talk about it in the preview in the next episode, but Body Hub is going to be a very different race to anything else that we would do because of that obstacle density. And it's relatively short. It's a 6K event. So again.
And actually in the race that we just had, we probably had a bit of interference really, because we had quite a few international races, especially in the men's pro race. Coming in and kind of interspersing the points a little bit, so pushing bigger gaps in between people who are actually neck and neck in the series, because of course you take the points from your position, not your relative position to each other. So that probably won't happen in the next two events. Spartan was probably the most likely for that. So it's more predictable now, although we didn't predict this correctly either. Rachel wasn't stood up.
I've put your picks down and we can talk about it at some point, but you guys did okay in some of it and not so good in other parts of it. And unfortunately Amy didn't turn up. She was injured, wasn't she? I think so. I know she figured in both of your picks. Dan was in there, of course. Morgan was in there.
It's really annoying though. I can't seem to pick a good pick. It frustrates me. I spend hours and hours sitting there going through names, picking people out, seeing what sort of injuries they've got. I've spent hours and hours.
Well, in October and over the close period, I think Alan and I will go away and start to see other that we might want to pick. You guys aren't picking so well.
I'm getting my P45 this year, I'm sure.
Megan's here to replace you.
She's on more podcasts than me.
Which is a great segue, Chris. Actually, maybe you can keep your job. Megs, thank you very much for joining us. But of course, you are a host of your own podcast. Do you want to talk about that and see if we can get some more listeners? Oh, I'm sure all of our listeners listen to yours as well. But let's talk about what you do.
Yeah, okay. So I run a podcast called Talking Dirty. It is a female-focused OCR podcast. I only talk to women. I talk about women. And then obviously I do informative episodes that are really beneficial to men as well. So for Euros, I did an episode with the organizers and we talked about literally everything you need to know. I've just done another one of those for Worlds with the people working on Worlds teams. So it's not just for the women, but yeah, I just felt like the women got hardly any focus, so I decided to change that myself. I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. Fun. It's really good. You've actually interviewed some of the races that I've followed for quite a while in the women's field, and it's really good to hear from them. And I'm a man listening to it, and I love it. So yeah, awesome.
Do you know, I think when I first started, the listenership was like 60% male, which was quite interesting to me. But now it's pretty even. But yeah, it's pretty international, and I do really like talking to all the best racers and getting their insights and doing their little yearly roundups and stuff. Like, I love it. It's so fun.
Who's next we're going to get? What next lady are we going to get?
I've actually recorded one with someone from the UK because I haven't really done a UK one for a while, which I'm very excited about. I'm not going to say who it is, but I'm trying to keep it nice and different. So
I want you to do Siri.
You want me to do one with Siri?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's been around forever.
I know. She's coming out to Worlds as well, so maybe I can get her on after Worlds. If you would love an interview with Siri, I'm sure we can make that happen.
Yeah, make it happen. Request.
Okay, nice.
So what's the name and where can we find you, Meg?
So you can find me everywhere you get your podcasts. It's called Talking Dirty OCR. And I predominantly post on Instagram. We do have a Facebook page, but I don't use it. And every Monday to Wednesday, I do like a weekly podium roundup on stories of all the podiums that have happened all around the world. So yeah, you'll learn something.
Yeah, I definitely see races I've never seen before and people that I've never seen before as well, which is really, really cool. So it's definitely working in terms of exposure. It's cool.
Thanks.
And talk about exposure. We've, of course, from our side, we've got Never Stumped podcast from Jamie Gain, which reminds me that I parked up and right next to me, he was told to park much closer. I was like, why? Harrison Hendricks, he parked next to me. We had a chat before he was going, but he ran the pro wave.
Yeah, so Harrison competed at the European Championships as part of our national para team, and I think this is his first year really doing the international stuff. But he's been doing racing Spartan for a little bit longer. But yeah, he entered the pro men's wave, which was super cool. And I think he had a great race. So nice to see him out there, and hopefully see him in Costa Rica.
Yes.
Costa Rica, which is another bloody segue. We will be doing a bonus podcast with Dawn Jollies and the team to discuss everybody who's hot, who is going to Costa Rica, because I think Costa Rica is bloody hot anyway. That's going to be a bonus podcast sometime next week before you guys go out. When are you traveling out, Becky and Megs?
Sunday.
We'll be there when you
listen.
Wow.
So you can't even listen to it on your way. You'll be there.
Me and Megan there, living up in our lovely little accommodation that we've got in San Jose.
Right.
And we're going to compete in the national stadium, like a massive stadium with a track and stadium seats. I don't know how many thousand it seats. In like the 3Ks in there, the 100s in there. Anyway, maybe you'll have to listen to another podcast about it.
What is it, Megs? You've got to try some fruit, haven't you?
Yes. Oh, you listened to the episode.
I've had rambutan before. It's nice. Yeah.
Is it? Oh, I'm so excited. Yeah, and the green plum, whatever that is.
Yeah, sounds nice. Bring some back if you're allowed.
Okay, nice.
That won't be allowed in custom.
We'll put it on an Eagles Road and you can go visit.
You got some there, has he?
No, we can get some hand delivered coffee from the plantation that we're running on, the coffee farm. And we can come sample it.
I don't want coffee. I want fruit.
Okay. There's also fruit in the vegan shop.
Coffee beans is a vegetable, which can kind of be a fruit, sort of. It's a plant, at least.
They do pea berry. Anyway,
we are getting off topic. Chris, thank you for your time. You didn't really do a lot with us today. But
I never do.
You can find Chris on Instagram at Obstacle Race Dude. Of course, we always have the Dr. Becky Neal, who does all the proper science at the Runner Bean UK. You can see the tables and all the results at British Obstacle Sports. You can find them on Instagram at British Obstacle Sports, and on their website is britishobstacle.org. Of course, you should be listening to all of the UK OCR podcasts. You can find us on all the channels at UK OCR. Of course, if you like what you listen to, you can join our Patreon or buy me a coffee or /beer for the guys on the Swift Half. We will be back in a couple of weeks after, I guess, Becky comes back from Costa Rica, but we are talking about the seventh race, the penultimate race in the UK OCR series, which is Body Hub Summer Beast 6K. It's going to be much more intense. So until then, we will see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Ain't no glory for the faint of heart. We all stars, win or lose, we don't play the part. And when the going get tough, I get to going hard. You bring your best and you know I'ma tear them apart. We made it survival.